Another story. A federal high court in Abuja on Thursday granted bail to the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, ABBA KYARI, in the sum of 50 million naira. KYARI was arrested on February 14, 2022, after the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency declared him wanted over alleged links with an international drug cartel. He was arraigned alongside 4 other members of the Police Intelligence Response Team. Since then, bail applications by KYARI and the 4 officers had been rejected. While in the ruling on Thursday, James Omotosho, the presiding judge, said the charges against the defendants are bailable. The court, however, added that KYARI's release from prison custody is dependent on what happens in another case in which he is being tried alongside 4 others for their alleged involvement in drug trafficking. I mean, Rufai, only yesterday we were discussing, the detention of the CBN or suspended CBN governor as well as the suspended EFCC chairman, and now we are seeing that ABBA KYARI has been released. But the fact still remains. What was the issue in the beginning? Why was his bail not granted to start with? Those are the questions a lot of people are asking right now.
Okay, so even with this bail granted, he might not be let out because it was a bail for 1 case. There's still another case. There are 2 substantive cases. Number 1 case about, the connection to drug thing, that NDLA put against. Secondly is the declaration of assets, which is quite very shocking. And when you see the assets that were listed, I wonder, goodness me, a DCP had this level of assets and all of that. So that's one. Secondly, it's the legal process. I mean, somebody pointed out something to me this morning, and he said, Rufai, do you know that the entire Ekweremadu case, took 9 months from arrest to prosecution in the UK? But guess what? This ABBA KYARI case has gone on over 18 months. And nothing has been done as regards this ABBA KYARI case. So it shows that our legal system grinds very slowly. I think what we should do is we should be able to expedite action on this case so that we come to a conclusion as to what really happened, all right, as regards this ABBA KYARI case. But a little backrec about ABBA KYARI. We all remember the story. Yes. And this is a grace to grass stories. This is a man that was given a standing ovation in our National Assembly for his contributions to the nation. This was a super cop. This man could do no wrong, only for all of those things and the evidence they brought out to come out. So it speaks volumes about our country. And this was also a blight on the authorities and the police force because this man was in charge of so many. And give him his kudos too. He cracked a lot of crimes. You remember the Evans case and all of that. Super Cop, as it was called. Yeah. But only when we now remember the association of Super Cop, with people like Arch Poppy and the likes, and the case of drugs at the same time, and declaration of assets. So please, we also want the judicial system to be quick. I don't see why the court, ABBA KYARI couldn't have gone through its court process by now, and we should even have gotten a judgment by now.
Right.
And please, by also extension, INEC should also, and the court process should also expedite action on the case of Mr. Ari, the INEC wreck that caused all the shenanigans in Adamawa State. Because you see, when we delay justice, it starts to look as though justice is denied.
Absolutely.
We need to bolster and buffer our judicial processes.
Dr. Abati, if you can quickly add your comment on this.
The principle is justice delayed is justice denied. Every accused person under the laws of Nigeria has a right to fair hearing, as enshrined in Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution. However, bail, as we're seeing in this case, is determined by the court. If it's not administrative bail, this is court bail that you are dealing with. But we have every reason, to express concern about the fact that why has it taken 18 months? Now, one of the issues here was that when his counsel first applied for bail, the counter-argument was that it would be a flight risk. He was accused of being part of a drug cartel that runs from, Ethiopia, through Ethiopia, Nigeria, all the way to Brazil. Now, so that's the local case here. And the NDLA got the fiat of the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation to charge him to court, and they filed 24 charges against him. That's one. what made the matter complicated was that subsequently, the Office of the Attorney General now came and filed a case for ABBA KYARI to be extradited to the United States. But Justice Nyang said, look, I mean, this is mischievous, this is hypocritical. That the Office of the Attorney General at the time should have known that if a person is already being tried for an offense in his own country, you cannot file extradition proceedings or ask the court to grant extradition under such circumstances. And that was the court of Justice Nyang. What was the matter there? In the Hush Puppy case, Ramon Abbas, aka Hush Puppy, who used to be very popular with a lot of ladies in Nigeria until he ran into trouble. You know,
he used to be popular with a lot of ladies.
Well, that's just an aside. A U.S. District Court indicted ABBA KYARI in this particular case. So there's still that American angle to it. And then this other case that, very complicated. But yes, later the Nigerian police force, on the recommendation of the Inspector General of Police, decided to suspend him and remove him and his colleagues from that police intelligence unit, which had been a very effective, well-admired unit of the force, and for which ABBA KYARI himself was very well decorated and praised. So there's that crisis also at a personal level. But the bigger loser in all of this will seem to be the Nigerian police force. That you could have officers, about 4 or 5 officers, being linked with untidy things. But in any case, until the matter is resolved by the court of law, we cannot pronounce any judgment in terms of whether the accused persons are guilty or not.
As always. Well, let's take another.